the laws on bail are clear, I think the minister meant to say the laws on bail clearly aren't working. Mr. Speaker, while this minister was in the classroom, I was in the courtroom running bail hearings. I looked victims in the eye who were victimized by people who were on bail. The reality is that violent crime is up 32%. Thugs and gangsters with guns are running wild on our streets. When will this minister, after 8 years of Liberal inaction, end catch and release?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge the Honourable Member's previous service, but I would suggest he go back to the classroom. Mr. Speaker, as the Honourable Member will know, what Bill C-70...
I'm not sure how much sugar was in everyone's lunch today, but I think there was an overdose. I just want everybody to take a deep breath and calm down. The Honourable Minister, please continue.
Mr. Speaker, as the Honourable Member will surely know from his experience, what Bill C-75 did was codify Supreme Court of Canada jurisprudence. It tightened bail provisions by adding a reverse onus for intimate partner violence. There was already a reverse onus on prohibited weapons. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding that, we are willing to work with the provinces to see if there are additional measures that we can take, and certainly we will help the provinces in the administration of the bail system.
Member for Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know that I can imagine a comment more out of touch than that which the Liberal minister just said. I'll remind the minister that, like him, I also taught at a law school, and unlike him, I don't have to go back to school to see people on the streets who are victimized, to see the statistics of gangland homicides, to see police officers on our streets being killed by people who are on bail. So, will this minister stay out of touch, or will he end catch and release to keep victims safe after 8 years of failed Liberal policy?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition is yelling 8, 9, 10, you're out, as if this is a sporting event. There is not a person in this chamber who has not been touched by violence. There's not a person in this chamber who doesn't care about the safety of our communities. There is not a person in this country who doesn't want to make us be successful in ensuring that every Canadian is safe and not victimized. The idea that anybody in this chamber, let alone anybody in this government, doesn't care about victims is a deeply offensive concept and totally unhelpful to the debate at hand.
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haut-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of this Prime Minister, we no longer recognize Canada, and for good reason. Referring to Bill C-5, Joseph Fessal at the Journal de Montréal said, crazy fanatics have taken over our asylum system. One example, a 31-year-old woman who was convicted of repeatedly beating her 11-year-old stepson, depriving him of food and care, was sentenced to 15 months in the comfort of her own home. Why does the Prime Minister always defend criminals rather than helping women and victims? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, no other government in the history of Canada has spent the amount of resources we have to help victims. Mr. Speaker, severe crimes deserve severe consequences. That is the spirit behind our amendments to the Criminal Code. Mr. Speaker, we are in full support of our victims. We are revising our system that it'll be more so that it's more flexible and more supportive for victims, and we are going to succeed.